Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out, episode 93. Hope you're having a fantastic weekend so far. We've got a great Tech It Out show planned for you this hour. We'll learn about what's new with apps like FamClub and VRBO. ASUS will tell us about new gaming laptops under its ROG brand. And LG will stop by to talk with us about its latest G8 ThinQ smartphone. All right, let's start the show. Rather than smartphones in everyone's hands, replacing the family time that we experienced in a pre-digital world, what if there was an app that encouraged family togetherness and rewards you for it? It does exist, and it's called FamClub. It's now available for iPhone, iPad, and Android devices. Joining us on the line to explain what it is and how it works, we've got Jason Bailey with us. He not only conceived the idea, but is the CEO of FamClub. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Thanks, Mark. Good to be here.
It's been said good technology solves a problem. So before we talk about what FamClub is all about, why did you come up with this idea? Was it something that you experienced as a busy father of two, perhaps?
It's exactly why. I have two teenage children who live on their phones, and I've found that just the older they get and the busier I get, it's incredibly hard to figure out how to make time for each other. You know, we still see each other every day and we talk about their day, but it's just been incredibly hard to, to get them involved and, to make sure I stay involved. I've also found that, as a parent, and I'm sure others feel this way, that, we sort of dictate to the kids how the household has to run. And I wanted to give my kids the feeling that, they had a say in the household in some way. And I think FamClub sort of delivers on all of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think many of our listeners can relate to these dilemmas, let's call them. And I, too, am a father of three teenagers who have a phone in their hand all the time. But sometimes mom and dad are just as guilty as well, right?
That's right.
All right. So tell us, what's FamClub all about?
So FamClub is, it's an app, as you mentioned, on iOS, Android, iPads, on, tablets, and online that allows families to set goals for each other. We don't like to call them chores, but for sake of purpose here in the interview, we'll talk about, they're chores, right? Tell your kids you've got to make your bed every day, you've got to do your homework every night, you've got to walk the dog or sweep the front porch. And so you set these goals for your kids. The kids are allowed to set goals, or a goal at least, for mom or dad. Play ball with me, or help me with my homework once a week, or, I really wish you'd go running. I want you to lose weight and be healthy, mom or dad. And so the kids get to set those goals. So now they feel like they have a voice in the family. And then we ask everybody to set a goal together. So family bike ride, or a family movie night, or, take a walk together as a family. And then throughout the month, as everybody completes their goals, everybody gets their own way to check them off. And FamClub tracks everybody's individual progress, but then tracks the family progress as a group. And once that group progress hits 100%, there's a monthly box subscription service that is also part of the subscription plan. And so you get a box every month, and that box has age-appropriate toys or gadgets for the kids. It's got something for mom and dad, and then it's got something that the family gets to do together. It could be as simple as, a board game or something to spend when you do family movie night and stuff. So, it's an app that really, aims to use household chores and activities to bring families together.
Oh, interesting. Because I know there are many other family organizer apps, like a digital version of the big corkboard in the kitchen with the paper calendar on it, right? So it sounds like what separates FamClub from the rest of them is the goal and the reward system. Now, some, Jason, may say it's kind of a sad state of affairs when we need to reward family time, as it should be rewarding enough. So what's your take on that? It sounds like it's more about individual goals as well, not just as a family, but hey, dad, you're getting a bit of a dad bod. You should exercise a bit more. So it's not just self-serving. It could be a goal for a loved one.
Yeah, you got it. I mean, look, to your first point, I'm I'm with you. You know, I mean, I've been a dad now for 17 years. It kills me that we sort of have to do this kind of thing. But, you know, the saying is if you can't beat them, join them, right? So why not find a way to use technology to bring families together? And yeah, it's not always about, you know, make your bed or, you know, do the things that kids hate to do by, you know, setting family goal time or setting something up that mom and dad have to do for the kids. It just makes everybody in the family have a voice. And it, you know, it forces them to sort of work together to accomplish this. And there's, you know, multiple levels of subscription. I mean, the app is completely free. You can use the app free of, you know, there's ads in it, but it's totally free of charge. There's also a version that's like 99 cents and you can track allowance. So maybe you just want to track your kids' progress and pay them their allowance each month. And you can do that. Or the box subscription. In that case, you know, you pay for this box to come every month. It amounts to, you know, as little as like $6 a week for 2 kids. So you're paying your kids $3 a week for, you know, allowance. And so you work together to get this reward. And no matter which version of the app you use, the app is constantly pushing you to work together, to grow together, you know, to play together and do things together. And that's the most important thing. So free or not, you know, I think we've found a way to, you know, to finally kind of get that screen time to mean a little bit more in the house. And
I like how some of the rewards encourages family connectivity, like you were saying, like a board game, like an old school board game, which, you know, mom and dad and the kids can play together, which I think is great. Can you walk us through, Jason? We're chatting, by the way, with Jason Bailey. He is the CEO of FamClub. It's a new app that not only helps families organize their time, but also lets you set goals and be rewarded for completing them. Can you walk us through how to get going, Jason? Like, you first download the app and you register, but talk to us about the interface since this is radio. Is it like a calendar? Is it like very text heavy?
No, actually. And, you know, we started designing the app so it's pleasing enough for mom and dad to use so it doesn't feel like a children's app, but it's also easy enough for, you know, younger kids. I mean, I know I've got younger cousins and nephew and niece that, you know, are in their, you know, early digits, 5, 6 years old. So you get on to the app. It very simply asks you to set up your family. We don't ask for a lot of data either. You know, set up your name and tell us kind of, you know, where you are roughly so that we know where we're going to, you know, send your rewards. But then set up your family. And then we even let you give people nicknames, right? I call my daughter Noodle. I can even put her in the platform as Noodle. And that way everybody sees Noodle's progress and they have, you know, their nicknames for me in there. So you set up your family and then hitting, you know, setting up a goal for each other is as easy as hitting a plus button at the bottom of the screen that's always there, selecting a category. So maybe if it's in the house, it may be vacuum or sweep the floors. And then you say who you're going to assign that to. You know, I get a notification that she's walked the dog and everything is good. And then all of a sudden we call it our Neato Completo meter. It's like a little meter that tracks her progress and the family's progress.
Awesome.
We even have a little refrigerator. This is because I'm used to the days where my mom used to stick notes on the fridge, and that was the way she, you know, talked to us before we woke up to get to school. And so there's even the FamClub fridge in there, and you just hit the button and you can literally post a little sticky note and you know, tell your son or daughter to have a good day or you know, tell mom to have a good day at work. So we also encourage that kind of communication outside of just the goals.
Oh, that's great. Do you foresee a future whereby you can post photos in FamClub instead of just text? I know that, like our family, we have a WhatsApp group chat. And if we experience something during the day and we want to take a picture of it, we can share it immediately to everyone else in our group. You know, anything like that possible?
Yeah, so that's something that's going to be done on the fridge. So you'll be able to, you know, post a picture on the fridge. One of the other things that we've started building in now that we're officially launched and we have a lot of users in the app is we're building the FamClub community. We want other families to be able to show how they're performing each month, and we want to encourage other families, you know, so the Jones in Arkansas, you know, completed 100% of their goals, and the Baileys in South Florida completed this many goals, and that way families start working together more than just individual families. You start working together as a community of families.
Oh, that's great. What do you think is the biggest challenge you've faced so far with FamClub? Maybe it's a technical hurdle, or is it awareness for the app? Because there's over, 2 million apps now at both the App Store and Google Play.
Well, awareness is always one, right? So we've been slowly rolling the app out. We purposely sort of did a very soft launch to get through the technical problems, and that has been the biggest this challenge. It's easy for us as an app designer because this idea was in my head, so I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Watching how people actually went into the app and the things that they would do or not do in the app was incredibly enlightening.
No doubt it's an iterative process. You've already walked us through the 3-tiered pricing options, Jason, but to learn more, what website would you recommend, including where we can maybe see what those optional subscription boxes look like and what you get inside?
Sure, yeah. If you're on any app store, you can just download the app for free, and you'd be able to get all that information in the app without paying anything. And so you just search FamClub. I think on any app store, you can search chore or chores or allowance, or you can just go to our website. It's myfamclub.com. That's fam like family. So myfamclub.com, or check out our social media. We're all over Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at FamClub.
And I'll be sure to share our radio interview when it's live on social media, Jason. Thank you. Thanks so much for your time, Jason Bailey from FamClub. Sounds great, and I'm going to check it out myself.
Mark.
Thanks for your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Speaking of apps, when we return on Tech It Out, we'll catch up with VRBO, formerly VRBO, but it's the same app that you know and love. We'll talk about the rebranding as well. But before we continue on with the show, a quick shout out to my sponsor. Tech It Out is powered by ASUS, and we will be talking with them this hour as well. ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life, including its line of award-winning laptops, desktops, monitors, and much more. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. We'll be right back with more Tech It Out.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. The next time you're planning a getaway, maybe a road trip with some friends this summer, for example, perhaps you'll consider alternative accommodations to a hotel. Vacation rental travel demand is red hot, especially with apps like VRBO, spelled VRBO, which has been around, by the way, since the mid-90s, before smartphones and apps, but now hugely popular. If you're traveling in a group, VRBO users can now access a feature called trip boards, which we're going to learn about now. And joining us on the line to chat is Bill Furlong. He's the vice president of VRBO's America's business. Welcome to the show, Bill.
Thanks so much. Great to be with you.
All right, Bill, just to start us off, tell us about VRBO. What's the app all about?
Yeah, you bet. So, when people are planning a vacation home rental, the process they go through really almost always involves other people. And that's because vacation homes are typically rented by families and friends when they're getting together on vacation. And as you may have experienced when you're planning that kind of a trip, you're usually making the decision with another group of people. You're not making it on your own. In fact, our data says that 86% of people, when they're planning a trip, do it with other people. And so we wanted to build a set of features that would make that easier. We'd ultimately like the experience of planning your vacation rental to be as delightful and wonderful as actually staying in the place itself. And so we built trip boards to do exactly that and to take the pain out of the process and put some fun into it.
So can you tell us about the VRBO trip boards?
Yeah, friends and family has been the place that VRBO has focused for quite some time. And we've done it really principally by having the kinds of homes that you can't find anywhere else. So when you're planning a trip with friends and family, you typically want a place that is the whole home. It's got a couple of bedrooms. It might have its own pool. It might be walking distance to the slope or have a media room, really spectacular, special properties. And that's what VRBO has specialized in for almost 25 years. But what we wanted to do was to take that one step further by making the tools that you can have to plan that trip better than anywhere else.
We're chatting with Bill Furlong, vice president of VRBO's America's business. We're learning about the VRBO app as well as the trip boards feature. Tell us about the new rebranding. If I'm not mistaken, VRBO was once pronounced VRBO.
Yeah, that's right. So we recently changed both the branding, the logo of VRBO, and the pronunciation. As you said, it used to be called VRBO, and now it's called VRBO. And then, that was one of those changes that was, in many ways, an inspired choice driven by our customers. So we changed the name to VRBO. We created a new logo and a new look to really, sort of signal and represent that process of embracing releasing a whole new set of tools and features to make planning a trip for friends and family easier than ever before.
What about those listening who want to list their property, be it a cottage or cabin or a condo? What's the process like?
Yeah, we try to make that process as quick and easy as possible. So you just go to VRBO.com. There's a little link at the top right of the page that'll say list your property. And when you click on that, we do a couple of things. One, the first question a lot of people want to know is, how much rental income could I earn if I rented my property on VRBO? And so when they put in their address, they can just find out how much they're going to earn on VRBO for their cottage outside Toronto or for their place outside Winnipeg or in Whistler, wherever it is around Canada. And so that's usually the first step, and people find that they can earn typically as much as $30,000 a year renting out their property. And then we ask for a couple of questions about the property so that we have a basic profile. And in a very short period of time, we'll have you up and running on VRBO. Just as we wrap up, Bill, what are the costs like? How does that work? Yeah, so if you're renting a property on VRBO, the pricing is set by the owner. So each owner sets their own pricing. And one of the great things about having 2 million properties around the globe is we've got properties that are at every price point. If you're looking for a super affordable vacation for your family, you can find it on VRBO. If you're looking for that once-in-a-lifetime place to stay where you are willing to spend more because it's going to be the most memorable vacation you've ever taken, you can find that on VRBO as well. So we offer properties at every price point. But you don't pay VRBO. So you just pay the people renting the property. Yeah, when you check out on VRBO and you pay for your place, you'll actually have a couple of different components of the pricing. You'll have the rent that's charged by the owner. There's sometimes fees for things like housekeeping. There's taxes, and then there's a service fee that VRBO charges as part of that transaction as well. Yeah, that's what I was asking. What is it, a percentage? Or is it a flat rate? Yep, it's a percentage of the transaction. Okay, and roughly how much would that be? It varies, but typically it'll be somewhere in the range of 5 to 10% roughly, depending on the transaction size. Okay, and what if you're putting your own property up for rent? Do you pay anything to VRBO? Yeah, if you're putting your own property up for rent, you've got a couple of options. The most typical one chosen by a new owner listing on the site is a pay-per-booking program where you just pay a small commission as a percentage of the booking. That commission amount is typically 5% for an owner that's going to list their property on VRBO. And so, one of the things we try to do is to make sure that our owners have a great way to turn this into savings for them. And so with that 5%, they keep 95% of the income themselves, which allows them at times to take the best vacation of their lives because they own a spectacular vacation rental home themselves. All right, Bill, thanks so much for your time. The website is VRBO.com, VRBO.com, or you can just go to the App Store to download VRBO to your iPhone or iPad, or to the Google Play Store for an Android device. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Have a great rest of your weekend. All right. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. In the next segment of Tech It Out, we're going to talk with ASUS to learn about its ROG, or Republic of Gamers, line of laptops. They just unveiled them at an event in New York City. I was there, so we'll bring you up to speed when we return. Stay with us.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
You're listening to Tech It Out. I'm your host, Mark Saltzman. Welcome back to the program. All right, we're here with Vivian Lian, Global Head of Marketing for ASUS Gaming Division, ROG, or Republic of Gamers, here at this awesome event in New York City. Thanks for having us and hosting us, by the way.
Hey, thank you for having me here on the show.
This is great to have you on. I know that a lot of my listeners are gamers, or they have kids who play games. We can't ignore these huge phenomenons like Fortnite and Apex Legends. So obviously PC gaming in particular, very hot right now. So let's talk about what this event is all about. What's the event called and what were you showcasing here today?
Sure. So here in New York, we're having this event called Redefine 2019. We couldn't think of a better opportunity to really make that bold statement. This time we're unveiling a brand new portfolio of gaming products, really top to bottom. So as you know, our Republic of Gamers brand is really all about dedicated to gamers. And so this time we are introducing brand new laptops, ROG mothership, which we unveil at CES, but now we're telling you it will be available this quarter. And then we're expanding our portfolio of Zephyrus.
Before you get to the Zephyrus line and some other laptops, I did want to interject and just say how awesome the mothership is. So for our listeners who never saw any of my coverage from the Consumer Electronics Show, the videos that I did, this is a really unique concept and the first of its kind. Perhaps you can tell our listeners what the ROG mothership hybrid laptop desktop is all about.
Yeah, sure. So we have a history of making devices that often kind of tell the future. And a couple of years ago, we really wanted to challenge ourselves to look at this, what we call desktop replacement category of gaming laptops. Traditionally, they're bulky, they sit on your desk, and they have a lot of power, but they're also very, let's just say, not very mobile. And so we wanted to change that up. And so first thing that we did was to figure out a way to give it a better cooling, because that is really the pivotal thing about gaming.
Sure.
And so we went with a vertical design where the gaming laptop stands up and has a kickstand. And what that does is not only for stability, but the kickstand allows airflow to go in. But just a subtle change like that, very, very creative, and allows for a lot more performance. On top of that, we took it on ourselves to really figure out how to make a gaming experience more comfortable. So this laptop has a removable keyboard that you can game wired or wirelessly. One of the things that we've noticed throughout research is gamers, when they're gaming, they like to sit at an angle. And they also like to be able to stay very close to the device or sometimes to be very far. So this kind of a versatile design really addresses the needs.
Right. Some games are what we call lean-in experience, like Apex Legends or Fortnite, like we were saying earlier, where you've got your left hand on the WASD keys and your right hand is on the mouse and you're leaning in and you're really into the action. Others are more of a kick-back or lean-back experience where your feet might be up on the table and you have a game controller in your hand, right? You may be playing more of an arcade-like game or a car racing game. So the mothership allows for both applications, if you will. So you can carry it around like a laptop, and then, as you mentioned, the kickstand props open, the screen is vertical, and it's a gorgeous screen too, right? Supporting 4K with high dynamic range. But then you can remove that keyboard and place it however is most comfortable for you in front of you. So really cool stuff. That's called the mothership. Now, I'm sorry, Vivian, that I interrupted you earlier. You were going to mention some of the other innovations, and we are talking only about gaming laptops at this event, correct?
Yes. So coming up, we will be releasing a brand new portfolio of products taking advantage of the latest Intel Core processor, the ninth generation, as well as a brand new NVIDIA graphics. So what that allows us to do is really scale our Zephyrus lineup. And for the first time, we're really looking at a combination of not only hardware, but price point and features. So today, we're introducing a new Zephyrus called the G8 502, and we have another one called GU502. You'll be able to get it starting from $999 or $1199 at Best Buy for some of the configurations. We're bringing that affordability to the masses, but at the same time still giving you that thin gaming experience that a lot of people love.
Yeah, because I know a lot of our listeners who play computer games know that the hardware, the machines can be quite expensive. It often has a premium price tag because you're paying for a really fast processor and all the latest graphics processing unit, as well as the kind of screen that you want with fast refresh rates to keep up with that action to reduce latency or lag. So to hear prices like that, which is more in line with a regular laptop, that is really impressive from a gaming laptop perspective when it comes to price. That's a big announcement, I think.
Yeah, and the other thing that we're bringing to the table is not only taking advantage of what's available from NVIDIA and Intel, but we're adding our secret sauce. This time we're talking about our intelligent cooling with ROG Boost. What that means is when you're buying a graphics card, there's actually a lot of untapped potential with the hardware. And so through our cooling design, we're able to give you more mileage for the money, if you will, so that, you benefit from the additional performance, but really, you're not paying additional money for it. And I think that's a win-win.
And then I also know here you announced a partnership with BMW when it comes to design, sort of foretelling where we may go in the near future and showing some concepts. Tell us a bit about that.
Sure. Like any creative minds, sometimes we look outside of our comfort zone and we look for inspiration. In this case, we elected to work with BMW Design Works, and we really try to leverage their expertise in automotive and our expertise in computer design, trying to figure out what the future of gaming will look like. One of the things that we identified early on was people don't use computers as a single purpose device. It's really something that they do multiple things with. Like gaming laptops, we talked about, people use it for gaming and content creation. And so we created this concept called Face Off. Face Off is really is a combination of a lot of things, but a few things that we're very excited about. One, we're really imagining user scenario where you have digital and analog. So you have your digital experience through the PC, but you have an analog device that allows you to interact with it. And, I wish the listeners can see the visuals, but it's a really cool concept to be able to kind of take the best of both worlds. The other thing is we're looking into the future of gaming and look at what that may be. One of the things that we believe could be a reality is this augmented gaming through projection. So instead of controlling through touch or keyboard and mouse that you're familiar with, imagine a world like Minority Report where everything is projected. Your game becomes projected and your action is part of that projection. It takes a lot of technology advancements that we don't have today, but our job is to dream of the future and then push that industry forward.
And hopefully apply for some patents to protect that idea.
There you go.
Awesome. Yeah. So for our listeners who want to learn more about ROG, or Republic of Gamers, this line of gaming rigs from ASUS, and the new laptops that were unveiled today, is there a website you'd recommend?
Yes, please go to asus.com/US for more information.
All right. Vivian, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on everything.
Well, thank you so much.
And it was great to see you.
Yeah, happy gaming.
We'll return momentarily with more Tech It Out.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out, hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out, everyone. We just heard from ASUS, the title sponsor on this program, creating technology for today and tomorrow's smart life. Visit asus.com/US/radio for more info, including the ROG, or Republic of Gamers line of laptops we just heard about. So I hope you enjoyed that interview. And now, as promised, we're going to talk with LG about its new smartphone called the G8 ThinQ. I know many of my listeners are itching to upgrade their smartphone this spring, either because they're just so ready for a change, or perhaps their carrier told them that they can now upgrade through their wireless plan with no penalty. Either way, if you're looking for a new smartphone, we're now going to learn about the LG G8 ThinQ. Joining us on the line to tell us all about it is Ash Molay. He is the Senior Brand Manager for Mobile Communications at LG Electronics. Welcome, Ash. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Mark.
Yeah, pleasure. Thanks so much for your time. And I just received the phone in a box moments before I called to interview you. So I'm anxious to play around with this new device. Now, it's no secret that there's a lot of competition in the smartphone space these days. What makes the G8 ThinQ special?
For sure, yeah. There's a couple of really innovative features that we've built into the G8. But aside from those innovative features, which we'll talk about, we've really delivered what I'll call a refined minimalist design. We have enhanced front and rear-facing cameras. We always have the incredible audio experience that LG has been known for. But one of the things that I'm excited to talk about is what we call Air Motion, which is what is a state-of-the-art touchless controls for a smartphone.
All right, Air Motion, and I am going to ask you more about that because that is, I think, one of the key differentiators between the LG G8 ThinQ and other devices. And ThinQ, we should tell our listeners, is spelled THINQ, and that's a name we often hear on your TVs as well, and that refers to AI, or artificial intelligence. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. It's LG's overarching platform that connects our home appliance, home entertainment, and mobile businesses with an AI platform that is going to make everyday usage of all of those types of appliances, TVs and phones, really seamless process in the smart home of the future.
Yeah, and thanks for reminding me. That's also a phrase used for your appliances as well, like your washers and dryers and kitchen appliances too. So AI, so does that mean it helps analyze what you are doing on the phone and it see, for example, what apps you like to use the most and optimize it to run faster? Or does it apply artificial intelligence to the photography part of the phone where it'll help you be a better photographer even when you're not? That kind of thing?
For sure, yeah, exactly. It does all of those things. So when it comes to the camera capabilities specifically, we have what's called an AI cam, which we also had on the G7 and the G7 that we released. It really takes, smartphone photography into the modern age in the sense that the phone is actually able to detect what you're shooting in real time, and it recommends optimal settings for you. So if you're someone who wants to get into photography but isn't exactly sure what types of filters to apply, what types of settings to apply, all you need to do is go into AI Cam, hold it over whatever the subject is, whether it's a landscape, a cityscape, a dog, a flower, food. Your phone will recognize what it is and give you the best settings for it. Now, in terms of the actual user experience for the consumer, the AI capabilities will also learn from you over time. So if there's certain types of notifications that you always open when you receive them, it'll actually give you those notifications more frequently and prioritize them over some of the things that you traditionally will swipe away because, they're not as important to you.
Oh, cool. Okay. And is it similar to the G7 ThinQ phone where not only when you point it to, say, a dog or a flower, does it optimize the camera to take the best photo of that subject, but it'll also tell you on the screen what you're looking at. And that's not even in the cloud. That's built into the storage or the memory of the device itself.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, so you see a little word hover. I always thought that was so fascinating. Whatever it's looking at, it'll tell you on the screen what it's looking at. But more importantly, behind the scenes, it optimizes the camera for that subject.
And I think to your point, the important thing for consumers is it lives on your phone. So if you're traveling and you want to take photos, you don't need to be connected to a data service, which might force you to incur, roaming charges. When you're taking photos, it actually does everything. All the computing is directly done on the phone.
Yeah, great point. We're chatting with Ash Molay. He's the Senior Brand Manager for Mobile Communications at LG Electronics. Just the man we want to talk to when we're learning about the LG G8 ThinQ, which just made its debut. So let's talk a little bit more about the camera before we move on to that air motion feature you teased us about. You can shoot 4K video with this camera, I'm assuming, so perfect for those new TVs that offer 4 times the resolution of HD.
Absolutely, yes. It's great not just for TV consumption, but if you're someone who, considers yourself to be a content creator, as platforms, social media platforms improve their streaming capabilities, your phone is going to be future-proof. So you can record in 4K now and continue to do that for years to come.
What's the selfie camera or front-facing camera like? Is it good for if you and your buddies want to huddle together and take a shot somewhere for Instagram? What's the front-facing camera like?
Yeah, I think we've done some really incredible things with the front-facing camera with this device. It is an 8-megapixel camera, but more importantly, we've integrated what's called a Z camera into this device. The Z camera actually measures depth. So when you're taking photos, this device is able to map out in real time where you or the subject is standing versus the background. Rather than relying on software-based solutions, it can actually map it out in such a way that you get better quality selfies when you're taking photos.
Cool. And we all know how important those selfies are. When we return, we're going to continue our chat with LG to learn about the G8 ThinQ smartphone. Stay with us. You're listening to Tech It Out on the Radio America Network.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
We're chatting with Ash Molay, Senior Brand Manager for Mobile Communications at LG Electronics. We're learning about the LG G8 ThinQ. Now let's talk Air Motion. This is a new feature introduced to the LG smartphones in 2019. What does this mean? I mean, the name hints at what it could be, but please tell us about it.
For sure, yeah. So one of the things that we've been able to do with this device is incorporate what's called a TOF, or time of flight sensor, into the front of this phone. A time of flight sensor is exactly what it sounds like. It's able to detect the time of flight between the actual phone and whatever is above the phone. So really what it does is it creates like a real-time map of anything that's interacting with the phone above the screen. What that means for a consumer is you can actually do things like answer and hang up a phone call, launch your favorite apps, start playing music, turn your volume up and down, all without ever having to touch your phone. You just hold your hand above the device, it recognizes your hand, and you're able to interact with it that way. Now, the user benefit to that, consumers might ask, well, like, why do I want to do this?
That's exactly what I was just going to ask you. What's an application for when you don't want to touch your phone? Maybe your hands are busy or dirty or something?
Well, that's exactly it. I think the most obvious one is, if your hands are dirty, if you're cooking, if you are, a mechanic, if you're painting, any time where your hands are dirty, and, we've all been there where we have to wipe our hands on our pants before we touch our phone. But the other important one for Canadians is if you're wearing gloves in the winter. Obviously, it's springtime now, but it kind of still feels like it might be winter at any given moment. So the advantage to this is when you're out, in frigid temperatures, you don't need to take your gloves off. If you get a phone call, you can just hold your hand with your gloves on above the screen and swipe left or right to answer or hang up a phone call.
All right. So I was going to say, since this is radio, what are some of the gestures you can do? So that's like accepting a call, swiping between messages, all just by waving left or right, that kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly. So the main gestures are left or right. And then to adjust the volume, you just hold your hand above the phone. It recognizes after 2 seconds, it knows that's what you're trying to do. And then you're able to actually turn your hand the way that you would a manual dial on a radio or a stereo system. You would just do that in the air and it would recognize it.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds like there's some practical applications here. I was concerned that it might be a bit gimmicky, but that sounds pretty neat. I'm looking forward to trying this out myself. Just a couple more quick questions about the G8, Ash. Is there expandable memory? And if so, what size micro SD cards can you snap in?
Yeah, absolutely. The device does support micro SD cards up to 2 terabytes. So you can really expand this thing with, quite substantially. And all it really takes is for you to carry around a couple of SD cards and you can expand your phone infinitely.
Wow. And what's the core memory or the built-in or internal memory that it comes with? Is it 128?
Exactly.
Okay, so 128 gigs, which is ample for many. And if you're going to stream services like Spotify or Netflix, that should be fine. But if you like to download a lot of apps or store a lot of photos and 4K video, you may want to opt to put in a micro SD card.
Yeah.
And then second last question, what is what LG calls a second-year promise? What does that mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that's really important for us as a brand is to give consumers a phone that's going to last the full length of their contract. So what we've done is actually incorporated what we're calling a second-year promise, and it's a second-year warranty. So the standard manufacturer's warranty that you would expect from a smartphone today is actually being carried through for a full year in addition. So if you have any issues that are manufacturer's defects, anything that's related to the phone not working properly because of those types of defects, you are covered for a full 24 months from the date of your purchase.
Okay. Yeah, you don't hear that from other manufacturers. So that's pretty cool. And then finally, the LG G8 ThinQ, how much does it cost? Which carriers are supported, and where can we learn more about the device?
For sure. So the device is currently available for as low as $0, depending on the type of plan that you end up choosing with your carrier. In terms of availability, it is available at most national retailers as well as the carriers. I would encourage consumers to follow up with their specific carrier if they have any questions about the device.
All right, Ash Mollet, Senior Brand Manager for Mobile Communications at LG Electronics. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Thanks for having me, Mark. Appreciate it.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's Tech It Out show. We first spoke about FamClub, a new app for families, followed by the latest from VRBO, another app that is certainly trendy this time of year as we're traveling a lot more. Then we shifted gears and spoke with ASUS about its ROG, Republic of Gamers line of laptops. And finally, LG with its G8 ThinQ smartphone. Going back to ASUS, I do want to thank them one last time for being the title sponsor on Tech It Out for 2018. Tech It Out is brought to you by ASUS, creating technology for today and tomorrow's smart life. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio. Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone. Catch up with you next time on Tech It Out. Bye-bye for now.